All right, all right. That's I don't know why, but I always get such a kick out of that
I
little
love it.
30-second countdown. Behind the scenes, we're doing our little get wound up dance and get ready to just sort of have some fun with you all tonight and hopefully talk about marijuana legislation and what's going on there and all that fun stuff. So,
Heck yeah.
we are going to start with our welcome. And in our, did I click the right button? Because I want to see something here. Oh, I have that down just a little bit further. Um, these two things. I'm going to hit the welcome first. And the welcome, as always, is welcome to everybody that's here with us tonight on all of our social media platforms that we are streaming on. While we're talking about that, I do want to mention don't forget to follow us on Instagram. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube and like our page on Facebook. As always, we're going to start our conversation with the fact that all of our meetings are an environment of education and awareness and are not an open market for the sale, purchase, or distribution of cannabis, and we do not encourage or condone illegal behavior of any kind.
Nice.
Last but not least, on our welcome, I just want to sort of mention don't forget to support our sponsors and visit southcarolinanormal.org/pages/our-sponsors. And now I'm just going to click over to our intro and agenda.
Oh, we already have a comment. TJ Anatra, terminal stage 4 cancer here. Wow, keep fighting for us all. Wow. Wow. That's one way to start the show right there.
Yeah,
That's one way to start
thank
the
you
show.
for joining us tonight. Definitely. Um,
Thank you so much.
of course, as everybody knows, the arrowhead of all legislative action here is directed primarily towards medical at this point. Um, that is the first legislation we hope to get passed here in South Carolina. We were darn close this year. Um, Technicalities, I still don't know what exactly they're going to do about that.
Yeah, so that's
And
definitely still to be determined, right? That's I think that's more of like can't wait to have some conversations with some politicians, especially people that are on their way or still like looking to be in office again. So
yes,
that's going to be
yes.
interesting to kind of ask those questions and say what's going on there. But
What's
thank
going
you.
on with there? How are we going to address this? Why was that technicality kind of allowed to block this? Whatever,
Right.
all those kind of questions.
Right.
Um,
So thanks for being with us, TJ, for sure, for sure. Yeah, so
you want
cannabis
to kind
conversations.
of, yep, you want to give us a little touch base on what the agenda is for this evening?
Yeah, absolutely. So today is pretty cool, y'all. I think I'm going to take this little background off because it's trying to put me into like the multiverse or something like that. Hold on one second. Like not yet. There we go. Okay. So
They're trying to beam you up.
they're trying to beat me up. Not yet, not yet. Um okay, so today we're going to talk a little bit about early voting. I can't wait to hear about our main man Scott's experience with that. We're going to have talk about some cannabis news. I've got a very, in my opinion, hilarious update about Circle K and their marijuana dispensary-ish locations. And then we'll talk about cannabis in legal medicine, or as I've kind of said, hidden medical marijuana. So we'll kind of get into that. I think this will be some interesting conversations and just kind of really lean into all of that, God forbid, propaganda that is constantly out there about marijuana. But first, early voting. Scott. Scott is like you're like poster child for voting in my eyes. Like, tell us about it.
Well, I had to early vote today. I will be working the polls on election day, and so for that and I will not be working in my home precinct. So I won't be able to vote in my home precinct on election day, and you cannot vote outside of your precinct. So the only other option was to early vote. Um, and I thought it was very convenient because they had a location at a local library, not very far from us. and surprisingly busy for a Wednesday morning at about 10 o'clock. I walked in there, they had outdoor tent set up for the curbside voting, people that weren't able to stand and or walk to the voting booths inside. And then
Mm-hmm.
inside there was, I want to say, 5 or 6 um, poll managers just at the check-in table. Somebody was already at the voting booth before me. Somebody walked in behind me. Another person was waiting. I mean, it was busy.
Yeah,
It was
that's
rather
awesome.
busy. There wasn't a line. There was a steady flow. But it was really convenient. And now, mind you, as I said, I'm working the polls myself. I just within the past week completed my poll manager training for this election date. Um, and it was sort of funny to me because I walk in and the check-in machines are actually a new one compared to what I've trained on and what I've used in the past. I've also used like a laptop earlier on when I was training or when I was working the polls.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say about 5 or 6 years ago here in Charleston area. Um, but they've added a new piece of equipment. Um, well, it's probably very similar to what we used last time around. Just maybe a little more compact is actually what it looked like. Anyhow, yeah, just walked in, got my little, did my check-in. You have to show your ID. I think they have 4 or 5 types of ID, including your concealed carry permit,
Yeah,
works voter identification, just in case any of you have a concealed carry permit and wanted to know that. Uh,
that is
and
good
then they
information. I
give
didn't
you
know
a
that.
little blank. Yep, that's one of them. Your passport, driver's license, and or state issued ID. Um, Voter's registration with a photograph. Anyway, um, yeah, they give you your ballot. Walk over to what they call the ballot marking machine, and that's the electronic device that you check off and select who you want to vote for and things of that nature. And I actually found that a little bit challenging on some of them because it just didn't seem real responsive. It was a touch screen, didn't feel real responsive to me. There was 2 people that were running unopposed that I didn't want to vote for, so I wrote myself in against Alan Wilson for Attorney
That's
General or for one of
that's
them.
great. That
So
is great
just
news.
so you know, if I'm Attorney General the day after Election Day, yeah, because nobody,
Wow.
uh,
That'd be a plot twist. That's the plot twist of 2022
that's
right
going
there.
to be a plot twist right
That's
there.
the plot twist.
Uh, Um, but yeah, and what it does is it actually prints out a paper ballot. You just look at it, double check. So during the 2020 elections, a lot of people were talking about these voting machines and how they can be rigged and this and that. And kind of
Right.
interestingly, just a few days ago, I watched a 60 Minutes segment on Dominion ballot election machines, which is I'm pretty sure the ones we're using here. Um, and it's between working the polls and just going and voting and going through the process,
Yeah.
I don't see how they say, oh, we have to go completely paper ballot. Technically, we are paper ballot. They
Wow.
just get scanned and counted by a scanner and then stored in a bin, but we are technically all still paper ballot.
Yeah,
Um,
I've got to hold on one second. Scott, I do want to jump in here real quick because first
mhm.
off, Miggy 420 says hi from Seattle. And if this is the same Miggy from Legalization News, the YouTube channel, hello and salute because appreciate what you guys do. If this is the same Miggy, which I'm pretty sure, Miggy has a show that he also co-hosts from Legalization News. So that's super
Oh,
dope.
wonderful.
Hello.
Awesome. Thank you
Yes,
for joining us.
that's awesome. So I had to cut in real quick with that, Scott, because I was like, I know not that this is Miggy. Okay, that's really cool.
That's great. I did not know. Yep, I'm going to share that with you real quick.
Oh,
Voted
awesome.
today. Na na na.
The sticker is always, I mean, that's why we do it, right? That's the
That,
real reason, is the sticker.
yeah, yeah. I don't vote for pro cannabis legislators for any other reason but the sticker.
It's the sticker. Oh my God. Well, that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. That Scott, I think is really important, especially early voting is something that is a great advantage. Like, take advantage of that opportunity. I mean, when and if you can. I had a lot of people on my timeline that did some early voting. A lot of them are going to be working the polls. So remember, that is a service as well, a good civil service right there. So
And they pay you for that.
yeah, that BIM. So there you go. There you go. Shout out to, we got some comments. We got some eyes on us. Hemp Lord, yo, what's up? Hello, hello, Hemp Lord. Seth McNeil says shalom. I may or may not know these guys, and this particular guy always says shalom. We got some people showing some love to Miggy in the comments. Very cool, very cool, very cool. Yes, Josh. Hello, Josh. Good to see you again. Saying hey to Miggy. Yes, this is super cool. Wow, this is really like, go cannabis conversations. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and move forward. Move forward. As you all know, we go into a little bit of cannabis conversations, a little bit of cannabis news, and I thought that this was hilarity right here because, as you all know, last week we talked about Circle K and the deals with the medical marijuana deal. Well, Florida DOH, Department of Health, rolled up and said, "Pump the brakes. We have not given regulatory approval to the partnership." Now, I'm throwing this in here. I won't spend a lot of time on this, but this was so dang on funny to me because, is this a move? And I would love to know. Let me know in the comments. Was this a marketing move from the Circle K folks? Was this something? Because if you think about it, right, even announcing without approval, like, people were talking about this, right? Like, this is a big deal. This is a big step in terms of, as we talked about last week, about the normalization of marijuana, making it just an everyday feel, an everyday thing. I mean, a great way to do that is to join up with gas stations, right? And so, what kind of move was this on the parent company of Circle K's part? I thought that was hilarious. I'm really interested to see how this is going to go in terms of, how is Green Thumb and Circle K, how are they going to move forward with this, and how will the Department of Health move forward with this? Because it's kind of hard to deny the amount of attention that this got from people and the amount of excitement that this garnered as well. So I think it's pretty interesting. We actually have a couple comments right here. So we got Mr. Bones says that's only going to make Republicans want it more, aka Murphy's. Okay, all right. I feel you. If Christie becomes governor, it could happen, but yeah, marketing for sure. Like, come on now. Like, you can't beat that. It's a big step to get Republicans to get it legal in SC.
Moon leaps.
Moon leaps.
On the moon.
Moon leaps. Circle K and GTI heard them called grand theft industry. Wow. That's another interesting perspective too, because I mean, I thought that it's very interesting. I think the cannabis industry in general, and I'm going to move on because there's other things that we're going to talk about. I didn't want to spend too much time on this, but to me, the cannabis industry is so interesting because it is so fueled by culture, like the culture of being like a cannabis user or being a part of cannabis. Like, cannabis started off not like scientific to people, like it's just something that was so holistic even from the beginning, and so that culture has expanded upon itself. And so I see companies, especially companies in this kind of way right here, like moving with what they feel like culturally cannabis users would accept. And I think, having, I've done some work in like marketing in the past and things of that nature. And when you have a product that already has like a culture around it, like you can really yield that to your advantage when it comes to marketing. So if you tease something like this, that would be very exciting for people. That would be very convenient for people. Another step in normalization, like to say something like this, that's a big deal. Like that's you're, capitalizing off of the excitement within the culture itself, to the point that like for the Department of Health to come in and say, "Hey, we didn't approve this." I mean, are people really caring about that? Like, are they, and is
Well,
this what happens
eh,
next?
some of the way I read that article initially about them, it sounded more like a property sharing kind of situation, not like not like the bank that's inside the supermarket, because there would be a barrier. It would
Right,
almost be like a build out, or
right,
its own space, almost like a strip mall. It's just, at the end is the cannabis shop, and the rest of it's the Circle K.
right.
That was sort of my take on it. Not that they would actually be cohabitating in the same space.
Yeah, it looked from the mock-up right here. Let me see here. And that's how I viewed it has been. You walk into the Circle K and then you got a little cafe there, and then there is that kind of like you can go easily in between the two areas. And I think, that is, first off, that's attractive. That's an attractive space. And it also kind of kicks up, like it evolves what a gas station's placement is in all of this, right? Because I've heard plenty of stories about people who are like, "Oh, I got that gas station weed," or "I got this CBD from the gas station," or "I got this Deltate from the gas station. It didn't work." Well, this right here is something that's a little bit different, right? It's almost giving a step of credibility to convenience in terms of cannabis. So I find that'd be interesting, and I just wanted to update y'all because we talked about this before, and this was such a recent update. And then a couple more comments here. Delta 9 from, okay, so this is Colombia specific. Mr. Bones says Delta 9 from hemp is all over Colombia. They might as well legalize it. To be honest, I saw cops getting confused on live PD about Delta 8. Don't get me started on police confusion around hemp versus, like legal hemp, CBD versus Delta 9 versus Delta 8. We could go on and on, but very good point, Mr. Bones. Miggy 420, also, why not? People buy their beer and smokes there. Could you imagine Coors weed? Oh my god. Oh my god. But this is a good point too. Actually, that just primed my mind, because those kinds of collaborations are not so far fetched, right? I mean, there's a beer. What is it? Elysian Brewing, I think, has a beer that is kind of a collaboration with a. It's like a cannabis beer, but it's not actually cannabis in there, but the smell is there. So, I mean, these collaborations are highly possible. So it's very, very interesting. Interesting is my word of the night, but it just really is to me. It's just very fascinating.
Well, I love some of the industries, how they've transformed since legalizations in some of the other states. I mean, some of my background comes from being a wedding photographer, and when I started seeing some of the like weddings that were using infused products or providing smokes for their guests or different things like that that were cannabis related in these legal states, I thought this was just, fantastic. Like, what a much better way to probably have a wedding. Um, Mind you, I would try and sneak out of the weddings before the people got too drunk and things got too riled up,
Right, right, right.
which would often happen.
Probably makes
Um,
for bad pictures too, depending on who
it
you
makes for
ask.
very bad pictures. And the other side of it I saw was like the growing cannabis tourism industry in some of those places. Um, I keep putting in the back of my mind, I'm going to have to travel one of these days, and visit one myself.
Oh yeah, for sure. I like this comment right here. Let me get an eighth with gasoline. Can you imagine? Can you imagine getting gas, like going in to pay for your gas and be like, oh, and also like, I mean, you can get, just like the comment earlier, you can buy your smokes. Like, why you buy an eighth? But like that's, I mean, that's not the exact system that they were proposing, but I mean, that's pretty interesting. Okay,
Right.
I'm going. Go ahead, Scott.
You
I'm
go back.
sorry.
You go back to it. No, I'm good. I'm going.
No.
I'm
We could
good.
go to the next. We'll move on to the next. But you guys, this is a great. I love all the comments. For sure. Actually, pretty ironic. That Miggy has mentioned Marinol, considering that. We're gonna talk about that later on. Um, and I think I saw something. Oh yeah, Dank Dust. Dank Dust. Scott, have you ever heard of Dank Dust from Elysian
No.
Brewing? Yeah, you should look it up. I think that you will enjoy seeing that.
I've been
Okay, here
living
we go.
under a rock apparently.
No, okay, moving on, y'all. Okay, this right here is not like this isn't like super. This is recent enough. It happened within the same month. The attorneys representing SC hemp farmer Jonathan Pendarvis released body cam footage of his arrest. So Jonathan Pendarvis is a hemp farmer. We've talked about this a little bit before, but essentially he was told that he was planting his hemp, growing hemp in a space that he wasn't supposed to, or it hadn't been like cleared by the Department of Agriculture, right? And I invite you to watch this body cam footage, okay? Because it's valuable stuff for a lot of different reasons. One, the charges against this man got dropped, but they're now he and his lawyer are have brought up a federal case against SLED, the Department of Agriculture, and the Attorney General's office because of the fact that his crops were destroyed. Right? They were destroyed, and even after SLED telling him that he would be able to contact his attorney, they then kind of backtracked, all within the same body cam footage. You can see them also clipping off like samples of his plants, all of this kind of stuff. And also, watch the body cam footage at your own time. But I'm just going to also say this. The way that they first off, I was proud of the way that, Jonathan handled himself. I mean, to me, he had a very good case, and I really sympathized with him because of the fact that I've also been in a position where I've tried to contact Department of Agriculture or just try to ask questions about the hemp program, and it's as though they don't have any answers. So when he was talking about in this body cam footage, he talks about how, well, I put in my amendments. Like I told them what was going on. Like they said they'd get back to me. I never heard from them. And I believe that man, because I know I've been in a position just on my own kind of research where there's no one has the answers to anything. And I think that is extremely egregious for the state of South Carolina to have a hemp program and invite people to be in that hemp program or have people apply and things of that nature and run them through like this. I mean, geez, like, I don't understand also, like, why be arrested? You can't at least find somebody or something of that nature. You have to destroy this person's crops. Like, this is a program that you want to have within the state, but you're making it hard for the participants who are within it.
I'm going to put up Josh's comment here.
Please.
South Carolina bought a ton of weed that
Come on
day.
Now. Come on now.
And I mean, mind you, it's the South Carolina taxpayers that bought a shit ton of weed that day. And unfortunately, we're not going to get to enjoy it. And it's probably going to take this farmer a while to get his money, but I certainly believe that he will.
Yeah, absolutely. I really hope that he does receive justice for this, because what I don't like about even in this instance, he says it in the body cam footage. He's like, well, why couldn't the Department of Agriculture call me? They called you guys. And originally, if I read correctly, the first ask from SLED to go out to his farm was denied. That request was denied the first time. So these are elements that are like, Why couldn't this man have been called? Talking about you sent a letter. A letter? It is 2022. We can't pick up the phone. This is a person who's a part of your program. You can't find other ways to make this happen for him, or to clear this up, or have some understanding. I thought it was so egregious that this man was standing there in handcuffs. Um the other side of me, Scott, and I have to say this here too, is that especially when we talk about racial disparities, yeah, I couldn't help but think that if that were a black man or woman up there, I wonder if this would have gone the exact same way. I wonder if they would have been as calm
Gentle.
and kind and gentle and all this other kind of stuff. Like I can't help but to think that, especially knowing our track history in South Carolina. So
Right.
there
I
were a
mean,
lot of things here.
you're
Go
talking
ahead.
sled here. Um, they're not known for uh, their wit. I guess is the best way to put it. But yeah, I mean, you've got Mark Keel, who's had a long history of being, very anti-cannabis.
Right.
Lock him up, throw away the key. Um, and he does not like, of course, what's happening. That's why he went to the Attorney General to ask for that opinion letter once hemp was legalized here in South Carolina.
Right.
That it still wasn't allowed to be had as flower and smokable.
Yes, the opinion. I remember the
The
opinion.
the opinion. Um, you know, and although he got his opinion letter, it didn't really change things. Now it's, from my view, or from what my understanding is, it's more county by county now, depending on law enforcement in
Yeah.
that county. Here in Charleston County, where I'm at, I can walk into a CBD hemp shop and there's going to be flower in jars, and I can take a little bit home, and whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Um, but there are still some counties where they're raiding the shops,
Yeah.
taking all their product, and
Absolutely. Absolutely.
um, but yeah, so
Yeah.
it,
This is the reason why we've got to we have to exercise one, the right to vote, and even on top of voting, this is why it's important for us to just try to be as educated as possible. I won't sit here and tell you that I've got all the answers, but I can tell you I've got the curiosity to get the answers and to understand how legalization looks in South Carolina. We're in a space where we're constantly kind of, it feels like we're just kind of pushing uphill, but it truly is up to us, the people who care about this plant, care about legalization, care about the ripple effects that have been that we've experienced as a community. Like we've got it's up to us. It's up to us to have these conversations, to vote, to educate other people, destigmatize all of that.
and I'm going to throw another link here into the comment section. This was a follow-up article that I saw not too long after this first article, probably a week or so
Oh yeah.
later. Actually,
Yeah, that's like that one.
it is a YouTube video, so I'm not going to be bringing up the YouTube video or anything. But basically, the headline on this one: SLED won't answer whether agents followed body cam policy on that 2019 hemp farm raid. So if you want to do a copy of that, open that up,
Telling
whatever,
you.
it will stay in the links on our Facebook and YouTube.
I'm telling
Come
you.
back and visit it later. But yeah, there's a nice little follow-up story on that that I don't think runs real long.
Yeah, it's quite, this is quite the, please watch both of those videos, that body cam and the video that Scott just dropped in there, because that is just it's once, hilarity is the word that I have for it. I mean, the sled officers don't even sound confident. They don't even sound confident when they're talking to this man. Like they don't have answers for him at all. They're reading a warrant that didn't even say that they were supposed to destroy the crop.
Mm-hmm.
They won't wait till he's talked to his attorney to like, and then guess what, you guys, like this man's license to grow was never suspended. It was never revoked. Charges were dropped against him, but guess what? He still lost product. What in the world?
As, as Miggy said, sad. It wasn't even like a hidden grow. He wasn't trying to hide
Yeah.
anything, trying to be above board, trying to figure out how to
Yep.
do the paperwork in this new program
Yeah.
that even the government hasn't figured out yet.
Right.
Um,
And they
and
put
now,
handcuffs on him.
these freaking cowboys, I'm going to call them, decide to cost the taxpayer probably a couple of $1 million. I think they estimated the grow at about $2 million if
Right.
I'm accurate on that.
Right. And that just to me was so horrible. One, and just like we said, and he says that in the body cam footage too. He's like, it's not like like I'm paraphrasing, but he says the same thing as the comment we just saw, where it's like, I'm not hiding it from you. I told you about it. And then he even says, I even said that the coordinates was wrong. So come on now. So anyway, that's
No.
that's a little something something right there, and it kind of goes into I brought this article to the table because I thought it was really cool that students are writing about medical marijuana and if it can benefit South Carolina. This is from a student journalist at USC. So there you go. Okay. When it comes to this conversation, is a conversation that's being had not just with people who are what is it, like they keep trying to push this narrative of what did McMaster say? What did he call
The frat boy
Cunningham? The frat
mentality.
boy. Right, right. McMaster, who is also a part of a fraternity, who also, trying to paint this picture of what a marijuana supporter looks like, when we have students that are writing about it, and I
Oh,
feel like writing well about it.
not only
So,
McMaster trying to describe cannabis users during the legislative debate, calling cannabis consumers Cheech and Chongs.
oh my god.
That, I mean, as much as I love Cheech and Chong, we all do. Um, calling
Yeah,
somebody that's a cannabis patient,
yeah,
or just a cannabis consumer is a
yeah.
derogatory statement.
One
Or
one
is,
100%. 100%.
yeah.
But leadership. So, medical marijuana benefit. What I like the most about this article, and I really wanted to share today just to further support this journalist right here. They're showing a picture right here of Crown Town Cannabis in 5 Points. If you've ever been to Columbia, you know that 5 Points is kind of like the spot in terms of like that kind of college area, and also just it's a spot that people really migrate to. I'm from Columbia, but I thought Charleston was better. But anyway, still got love for you, Columbia. But what I liked the most about this was, of course, you get, especially with kind of that voting season upon us, you get to have there's some takeaways in here from different representatives, like Representative Spencer. What more? I think that you are familiar with her, Scott.
I just spoke to her on Saturday. Yep.
There you go. Representative Dion Tedder, like these are really good.
Spoke to Dion Tedder too.
Yep, yep.
We
So
had a
there's
good
some
day
good
on
quotables in
Saturday.
here. Very good quotables. And my favorite part from this particular article was from a professor who is studying or is known for his marijuana research, Prakash, but I don't want to mess up the last name. But I'm going to read this quote where he says, "What we found," and I'm going to read these two little segments right here. Marijuana also can replace immunosuppressant drugs, which can make people more susceptible to infections and cancers while being used to treat inflammatory diseases. What we found is that marijuana does not randomly destroy the entire immune system like some of the prescription drugs on the market. It selectively kills those cells that are activated, as opposed to killing everything in sight like traditional immunosuppressant drugs. Wanted to make sure I read that because of what we are going to talk about a little bit today in terms of the Marinol, but I think it's a powerful statement that this thing that is illegal in South Carolina is showing itself to be so beneficial for people in more ways than one. And we know that there's research for that. It's so obvious. So why not, like, why not give people what they need, and really give people what they need, and give them access to what they need. We also have, I'm going to go ahead and transition because I won't stay here long because of time, but I do see in the comments, TJ says that he's on Marinol. So if at any point in time, please give us, whatever you're comfortable to share in terms of your experiences with it. And I'm going to talk a little bit about it today. Shout out. I have to give a shout out to the Hemp Lord who actually gave me the idea to talk about this today. So this is a collaborative conversation, y'all. So thanks, Hemp Lord, who is also my husband. Okay. So thank you for your support. A couple of comments before we kind of move on to the main deal here. Let's go ahead and show some love here. We got some funny stuff. Josh said, I don't look like a stoner, but I smell like one. Okay. This is hilarious. TJ, I'd love to have a sit down with our beloved governor. 20 minutes. That's all. TJ, lobby day is coming up in January. And I can't promise you that you're going to talk to the governor, but you can talk to your representative.
Talking to your representative, hopefully.
That's right. So,
well, if they'll see us.
Yeah.
My senator won't see me.
Oh my God. Well, we will try this conversation. That's another cannabis conversation. But TJ, for real, like, stay in contact. At the end of this, we'll have kind of our contact information, things of that nature. We do have a lobby day coming up. That'd be an awesome time for you to be able to do all of that. Mickey says my backpack is louder than I am. Hilarious.
I like that one. My backpack has got like, dead stickers or patches and all kinds of different patches all over it. Yeah, old guy with a pretty loud backpack.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. Okay, so let's get into this Marinol. And off rip, TJ says it helped me gain 30 pounds in a month. So let's get into what Marinol is for those of you who may not know, and for those of you who may watch this later on. So in short, this is an FDA-approved drug that was approved for, as you can see here, chemotherapy-induced nausea and vomiting, as well as anorexia from AIDS. Marijuana is not FDA-approved for medical use. And so what are these? Why do these things have something in common? No, I do not want to subscribe. What do these things have in common? Well, Marinol is a synthetic form of marijuana, which is FDA approved. The synthetic form of THC, Delta 9. So this has been around for a hot little minute, right? This has been around for a minute. This is not new. This is not something that is just like revolutionary. It actually also kind of harkens back to, remember a few cannabis conversations ago, we talked about how hemp cannabis was utilized all the time in kind of like the 1700s and all that, kind of way back when, and all of that, 1800s and things, where it was integrated into medicine. It was just a part of medicine, right? Without anybody batting an eye. And so Marinol is very important for us to remember and to kind of keep at the top of our mind, because of the fact of the propaganda that's constantly, I think that it's very hypocritical to talk about, to demonize so much, especially from like kind of supporters of like not having legalization, or even people who want very specific legalization. I think it's very hypocritical to demonize synthetic drugs, or synthetic marijuana, or they have all their conversations about, what's being man-made, when the FDA has approved a synthetic marijuana. Like, that makes no sense. SC NORML, approved by the, that's us. Approved by the FDA. Right, approved by the FDA in 1985 for the treatment of nausea and vomiting. So TJ says it creates the munchies, which if you take too big of a dose, you'll eat yourself sick. Wow, this is TJ. We might have to, get you on the interview on the other side, because I'm really interested in what you've got going on in your experience here. So I think that this is something that when we empower ourselves with the knowledge of what's already out there. And actually, Miggy, are you like all up in our show notes? Because because
It
that
made me
is what
laugh when I saw it come in. Yep,
that's
he's
the
right on
next
point.
thing. That is definitely the next thing that we're going to talk about, which I might as well roll into is the patent, y'all. Cannabinoids as antioxidants and neuroprotectants. Scott, I want to give you the honor of talking about this because you were the one that came in and said we need to add this in. Please
Oh,
talk about the patent from the United States of America.
give me 1 second till I go grab this. Did we do we have a link to what you have there?
Oh no, here we go. I'll pop it in there.
Okay.
I got you.
Because yeah, it was just I knew about the patent, and when we were talking about Marinol, I'm like, "Are you aware of the U.S. government's patent on cannabis?" And she's like, "No, I wasn't aware." Oh, I'm gonna have to hit the. How can I copy that? Apparently, because I'm that person, I can't open that link.
Oh, here you go.
But anyway,
The private chat side.
oh, okay, cool. That way,
Yeah, this
oh,
was
there it is.
really
Now
this
it works for me. Now I can open it.
perfection.
Okay, thank you. Drop that up here next to the other one. Um, yeah, I wanted to see if this gave me a year. 1998 priority to. So it's not necessarily new. I mean, publication of the
Right.
patent was 2003. Um, so it's been around for a while. Our government has already got a patent on cannabis for the use of, reducing nausea from chemotherapy as an antioxidant element, an anti-inflammatory, and an autoimmune excuse me, for treatment of autoimmune disease. So, yeah, it's a lie when they're up there enforcing Schedule 1
Right.
that specifically says these substances have absolutely no medical value.
Right. Right.
Now, I believe they're synthesizing it so they can still sort of say, well, the synthesized stuff's okay because we took out that bad THC. But, yeah,
Yeah.
thankfully, this new presidential statement, although there's discussions about, oh, he's not really, pardoning anybody that's in prison, which may be a fact, he's still, pardoning 6,500 or so, prior convictions. And the big thing to me in that statement was directing Health and Human Services to reevaluate the Schedule 1 status of marijuana, of cannabis.
Yeah.
So that to me was the biggest part of that statement, really.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Mickey says the patent is actually open now. It dropped from the government's ownership 2 years ago. So that is and also to speak to your point too, Scott, is like while they had this, there's all this, rigmarole about how it's bad, it's wrong, it's this, it's that, but obviously it's good enough for you to secure a patent on it, for you to want to utilize it for your own
And
things.
to Miggy's next comment, also allow the government to distribute it to patients that need it.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
So, as he says, there's one last patient. They are still distributing one of our usually regular followers on here actually purchased one of the tins from one of the.
Wow.
I think they came with like 300 joints in or something like that, pre-rolls in it, that the government supplied. He was able to buy one of the empty tins one time from one of the people. I don't know where or how. I think he actually was somehow in contact with them. So it
Yeah.
might be still that one patient that's still alive. But
This kind of has me thinking, especially the comment that I had earlier about culture, right? The cannabis culture, and you know, what is this really about? Is this really about you don't like THC or you don't like the culture, the cannabis culture? Like you don't. you don't like the cannabis culture, you don't understand it, you don't there's already this, demonizing of the plant itself. It's a plant. It's a plant that grows out of the ground, and yet it is demonized. The book that I've been reading about cannabis, the title escapes me right now, but just the fact that we know that in America, a big part of why cannabis had such pushback from people was rooted in racism. So to me, that speaks volumes to the culture of something instead of, or what the perceived build of the culture of cannabis is. And that's really what the war is on. It just, because to have a patent, to have an FDA approved drug that is a synthetic marijuana, you want to do copycat marijuana, but you don't want to legalize actual marijuana. Or here's one, make it accessible to people who would really need it. We've got some more comments here. Strain Keeper Medicinal Services saved my life with their disease fighting RSO. RSO.
I always hear lots of
RSO.
good things about RSO.
Yep. Yep. Very happy to hear that, TJ. Seriously. Good read is The Rise and Fall and Rise of Marijuana. We'll definitely have to check that one out as well. Yeah, I wanted to bring this to y'all's attention. I know we've got a couple of other things to kind of talk about tonight on kind of the local side, but I just wanted to touch on this because, one, just in case you didn't know it existed, and that's what this is for. And the reason why I think that's important around voting time is, when we see people, when we see people in our shop and stuff like that, or in aside from SE Normal doesn't have a shop, but when I see people come through our shop and they are just, they're interested to see what's going on, and they're also, they want to see the products, but they're also, I had someone ask me today, like, my friends are so skeptical of this, like they're so skeptical of, THCA, and they're not sure what it is. And it just reminds me of all the kind of miseducation that's out there, especially in a state like South Carolina, and how there are so many like closet lovers of cannabis, which I respect people's privacy and things like that, but it's amazing just how much lack of information will make people afraid, when it's just simply, I'm gonna walk you through this. I say I'm gonna walk you through this. It's actually way simpler than you think. And I explained to this individual, I said, THCA is the caterpillar, Delta 9 is the butterfly. They're one and the same. They just, one is in a different phase from the other. And in that moment, he was like, "Oh, I never thought about it like that." It's like, yeah, that's what that is. Like that's just a real simple, like, that's what it is, and here was this simple moment of like learning something, and breaking it down for somebody so that they can be empowered to tell other people. And that simplicity made it so, like, you could just see this person's face kind of light up. And I think that's the reason why we like introducing these kinds of things, because to let you know that the propaganda out there is going to try to overcomplicate something that is so very simple. It is simple. Marijuana is helping people, cannabis is helping people. The government knows that. They've already known that. Exhibit A, exhibit B, so they already know that. They're just trying to keep you from knowing that, or for you from believing that. So anyway, get off my soapbox for today. Last 10 minutes, Scott, if we can go into, I know we got some events coming up. First and foremost, as always, it's going to be off rip. Please make sure that you vote. Please make sure that you vote. That time is coming up. Please make sure that you vote. You can check out information on NORML's website about the report cards and things of that nature. For the politicians, so that you know who you're voting for. So please check that out. And then, Scott, you want to speak to upcoming events? Uh-oh, you're muted, Scott. I'm going to unmute you for you. Or I can't. I tried.
That's right. Give me a second here to quick drop the Smoke the Vote link in our chat.
No problem. Real quick, while you're
What did
doing
I
that,
do
I am
here?
going to put this up because I agree with Josh. Thanks for hanging with us tonight, Miggy. First time we had a celebrity. Thanks for all you do for the fight in the national level. Yes, absolutely. Miggy, my husband, Emeka Hemp Lord in here, he watches legalization news all the time. So we really appreciate what you're doing. I have to echo that, Josh. That's said in a lovely way. So thanks again, Miggy. That was super dope.
Alrighty. Upcoming stuff.
Miggy
Oh.
says, I feel like we should all just be loud citizens. That's hilarious. Oh, that's great. That's awesome.
Let's see
Okay,
what
go
other
for it, Scott.
comments are coming in. No,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
want to see.
Yeah,
All
I'm cheesing, this
right.
is super cool. Very cool.
Very good call tonight. I love when we get good interaction. Upcoming events. Earlier today, I started working on the new memberships for South Carolina NORML. Updated our little membership badge from the 2022 version just a little bit, just to make it slightly different. And I am working on our membership drive. As you probably know, if you've been with us for a while, we do an annual membership drive. Usually starts as soon as we release the 2023 membership. So sometime in November, usually close to Thanksgiving and or a week or two before. Anybody that purchases or donates and gets a membership for 2023 will be entered into our drawing. In the past, we've given out a copy of our Dope Man board game, or not ours, but of the board game Dope Man. We still have a couple in stock, but I'm thinking of doing something a little bit different this year. I think I'm going to try and put together a gift basket. We're going to start that gift basket with merch from our store. We've got some new pocket-sized U.S. Constitutions, some pocket Constitutions, some new stickers. We've got some buttons. We've got the sploofs in stock. So we've got some fun stuff that we can start throwing into that basket. And then I'm going to be reaching out, and we'll start right now, reaching out to anybody that might be listening that has a retail type business that wants to donate something to our gift basket. And throw one of your business cards in there also to help promote your business and that kind of thing. We'd be happy for your donation. So keep your eyes open for that new memberships to come about. Like I say, probably mid-November to Thanksgiving. No later than Thanksgiving, they'll be available. The membership drive will again run through February 14th, and then we'll do our drawing. Before I go on to our next stuff, I didn't even put the membership drive banner up there.
And you worked so hard on it.
And I worked so hard typing that in. Before we go into the next bit, I see we've got some other comments here. I want to just sort of take a quick peek and see what they are.
I don't know about these comments. Yes, Miggy, appreciate you guys too. That's awesome. Thank you. Jacqueline 31. I'm not really sure where they're going with these comments, but
Oh, okay.
But on that note,
on that note, yep, I want to get back to our last minute stuff. We will be at Charleston Pride coming up Saturday, November 12th. If you notice on the ticker there as an update, Saturday, November 12th from 12 to 6. It is a somewhat abbreviated, I don't want to say abbreviated event, but somewhat downsized. Instead of being at was it Brittlebank Park? They've moved to the refinery. So it was a new location. If you're out and about and feeling proud that day, come on out and join us. I gotta tell you, it's probably one of the most fun events that we participate in to date. Last but not least, our lobby day coming up January 25th. We've gotten our confirmation from the State House for our reservation for the main lobby in the State House for 9 o'clock to 10:30. We're going to ask people to start signing up for that event as
Yes.
soon as the time is right. Let me just kind of go here real quick.
Yeah, really excited about Lobby Day. I think that's going to be very cool. Had our first one earlier this year, and that was fun. And we learned a lot, and we're ready gearing for
We
the
did
next.
learn a lot. I've got to say, we learned a lot from that. We didn't sit with a lot of legislators that day, but we sat with a few. And then, under Vaughn's leadership, VP led us through the halls of the state house and the auxiliary buildings where these offices are, and says, "Oh yeah, we're going to go over here and talk to them, and we're going to go over here and we're going to," and made sure that we dropped some information off at a number
Yeah.
of different legislators. So our plan is to do a very similar thing this coming year in January. Have our press conference. We haven't even really started on our guest speaker list yet, but we will be starting that soon. Um, and then scheduling appointments to go around and take constituents and sit with them and talk with their legislators, so we can be by your side and share with them your feeling on marijuana policy in your district. And then after that, we're just going to door to door for the most part, have our list
Mm-hmm.
on whose door we want to knock on and who we need to feel and need to drop information off at. And what's going to be great about this is like about 2 weeks after the start of legislature this year. Legislative cycle starts, I believe it's the 10th or the 11th. I don't have my calendar open in front of me.
Yeah, let me
Um,
see.
and then this is like just over 2 weeks later, we will be there. And so there may be some new freshman legislators there that we
Right.
definitely want to make sure that we talk to. We might have some new folks in there that we know are supporters, and we can just sort of nudge them and hopefully ask them what's going on with proposed legislation.
What
Can
is
we get
going
them to
on?
propose legislation, um, and take it from there? So
Agreed.
uh, let me see. Anything we need to look at in notes? I kind of took out our one friend there.
No, I think that we're good. I think that we're gonna have. I'm really excited about Lobby Day, and I hope that let's continue to those of you in the comments that are in South Carolina, please make sure that you hit us up, because would love to see some faces out there. Would love to be to January 25th is a Wednesday, so please, if you have time, please come on out there. If you don't have time, hit us up and let us, help tell your story. Which, by the way, that's a little teaser for something that um,
You're letting
exactly.
on. We'll probably
Bill,
be talking about that a little next. Well, next week I can't really join in. I'll be in for a few minutes in the beginning of the conversation, and
right?
I have to hit the road. I might be able to like log in remotely a little later, but we'll see.
We'll have a
Um,
guest next week. TBD.
all righty, that's it for tonight, then, folks.
Oh,
Again,
oh,
don't
wait.
forget. Oh.
Wait, Scott, we'd have to. Well, first, TJ, for sure, we would love to talk to
Ah!
you. For sure, we would love to talk to you. And
Oh, and
Joey,
he makes a good point because I forgot to mention this earlier. As we started, I wanted to remind everybody the debate started at 7. I set my recorder to record it on PBS, and I meant to remind you all to quick run out and set
oh
your recorder to
man.
record the debate, and I didn't.
Okay,
So,
so we'll
my
probably have to
bad.
recap that
We'll
next week
probably
for
talk
sure.
about that at some point in not too distant future. But hey, Joey's here just as we're
Yay,
getting ready to
Joey.
go.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you
All
so
right.
much, Joey. Quentin, thank you. Big moves with greatness here. That's right. Absolutely. 100%. That's my bro, Quentin, right there. So, yeah. And thank you so much, everyone who's listening. We're at 8 o'clock, but before Scott gives me the broom to get off the stage,
Yep, you can drag
um,
it out a little. We don't have a hard deadline.
yeah, I do want to say thank y'all so much. So much for watching us. Thank you so much for your support. We had some new faces in here today, and that's really awesome. And we're doing our best to get you that information. But I know that I'm happy about what we do here, and I'm even more excited about what we can be doing together
And
to
TJ,
push
I'm going to
this.
ask you to just reach out to our regular email address,
Here,
normalsouthcarolina@gmail.com.
let me put that in
Uh,
here. Normal, South Carolina.
yep, no A in there, NORML, South Carolina, all one word, at
Yeah, hit
Gmail.
us up for sure. Please, please,
Hit us up,
please. That's going to be the
definitely.
best way. Okay, cool.
All
All
right.
right. Honest take, it was a good debate for both. Okay, awesome. Joey, I'm gonna have to check that out. Okay, I'm done.
All right. Well, I
Thank
hope it
y'all.
wasn't too good for McMaster, but we'll see how it plays out. Hey, folks, thanks again. We really appreciate you being here with you. And I guess it's time to say goodnight.
Peace out, y'all. Have a
Night.
great day. Night, both.